Hi, people. This is African time. Well, I'm going to discuss some sensitive issue here, and I'm going to try as much as possible to let things flow and be in their right order. And then you guys can actually share your thoughts and views on it. Well, we all know recently when one of Africa's top YouTuber, Maya, went to South Africa, Cape Town, and visited a place called Orania in South Africa, and how the internet took this news and how things actually went. I just want you guys to see what happened. Well, we'll see this.
I'm in love with Orania.
Yes.
Can I stay in here?
You're not Afrikaner.
Afrikaners are descendants of Dutch settlers who arrived at the Cape of Good Hope on a boat in the year 1652.
Would you say that Orania is a controversial town in South Africa?
Orania is definitely. I don't have to doubt it. I know that Orania is controversial.
Orania.
What is happening? Can somebody answer?
Section 235 of the South African Constitution acknowledges the right of cultural groups to self-determination. But what about the Afrikaner enclave of Orania, which also uses race to determine who can be allowed to live in that community?
The main reason why it's controversial is misperception. I think so, it's my personal opinion. Misperception about Orania. The people who have the most to say about Orania have never visited.
Would you agree with me if I say that this man performed a lot of atrocities in the past?
It's our history.
But I know it's your history, but at the end of the day, a lot of people were harmed in the process. You don't think if you are embracing this, you're definitely embracing apartheid?
Is it okay to celebrate Shaka Zulu leader? Do you know who that is?
I know who Shaka Zulu is.
He killed a lot of people. Is it fine to celebrate him?
That's a question for South Africans.
That is a question. This is a question for Oranians.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
I don't even know how to feel right now. Should I tell you guys that I'm super scared? Because I'm about to do one of the craziest videos that I've never dreamt of.
This particular video will definitely go down as one of my most sensitive vlogs ever.
I mean, I'm currently in Cape Town, driving to a town that so many South Africans don't want to hear about. I mean, if I talk about South Africans, I'm talking about Black South Africans, indigenous South Africans, people that were here before the settlers came in here. I believe that most of you have heard of the town.
In my whole lifetime, I never thought I would come across a town within the land of black people where blacks are not allowed to live in there.
People out there believe that Orania is a racist model. Do you believe that whatever you guys are practicing here is racism?
No.
So what is it then?
It's a cultured town. It's a cultured town. It's an Afrikaner town. The narrative is out there that if you preserve your culture, you're racist, and that's not true.
But I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe, and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come in. In this town, it's whites only. If I have to decode the whites only, I'm talking about Afrikaans only. So if you're a black man like me, you cannot stay there.
We say Orania is a community for Afrikaners. It's not an issue just white in, black out. It's a question of culture.
But someone might ask, if you want to preserve your culture, you're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africans.
Well, that is whole nother debate.
If that is the case, then let's bring the other debate.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa.
White South Africans make up about 8% of the population, but they hold about 3/4 of privately owned land in the country. In contrast, only 4% of privately held land is owned by Black South Africans, who make up nearly 80% of the country's 60 million residents.
I'm sure that you guys know that white people were not originally from South Africa. Like, they migrated in the late 17th century from Netherlands, France, England, Germany, in short, from Europe. I mean, they were immigrants in South Africa, but they forcefully colonized the people. Actually, no. They enslaved the owners of the land, the black South Africans. This is something that Donald Trump doesn't know, by the way, so you're welcome.
Of the decision.
Last month, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed into law a bill that allows the government to expropriate property for public purposes or in the public interest, in some cases without compensation.
Well, I don't think land expropriation without compensation is a good idea. I think the land is not the problem. The problem in South Africa is economic problem, and there's actually been research done on that, proving that people don't necessarily want land, they want a better economic future. Most people don't want to be farmers. To farm is a tough job, it's not a very rewarding job in terms of money and so on. I also think that the South African economy will collapse if there is land expropriation without compensation.
Interesting. And I want to include you in this conversation, so let me know what you think in the comment section, but don't forget to like this video because it's very important to me.
Welcome back. Orania, an Afrikaner-only town in South Africa, has weighed in on the US President Donald Trump's order halting financial aid to South Africa and offering refugee status to Afrikaners.
But this is what the Afrikaners think about Trump's offer.
We are not necessarily interested in tax dollars and handouts and help. What we want, we already got to an extent. We want recognition. We want recognition from abroad, we want recognition locally, and we want recognition from our peers. That is to say, firstly, those people are a people upon themselves, and this, they have the right to make certain decisions for themselves. That is what we want. We don't want people's money, we don't want people's handouts. We as Orania want larger recognition, greater recognition. And I think that is not too much to ask. Actually, I think that's very reasonable.
Well, this issue was actually so big to the extent that it actually got 1 million views on YouTube in a day. We'll see what Maya posted. He says on his X page saying 1 million views in a day. Wow. Yep. This issue was so sensitive to this point that it got 1 million views in a day when Maya shared this. How big was this news? Well, as you can see, that was some interesting points. And when we all have actually watched the full video. If you haven't watched it, you have to go to Maya's page and actually go and watch the whole thing. You actually understand what the claims of the Oranian people, how they believe, their belief of keeping their culture, and then also how they believe that they are keeping their children safe and also promoting their culture, as I said, and also living extraordinary life that they want. Well, we might ask some right questions and some hard questions and for sure, the Oranian people or the people in charge at that time did their best to reply and then give the most solutions or most response they can give. And then it's now up to you guys to decide what you think. Now, as I said, I'm always here to discuss most important things and also let you guys have a feel of your views, and also you guys can also share what you think about it. Now, when Maya went out and then he got this really controversial kind of thing on the internet, I want you guys to see. If you watch the video, you have now seen what the Oranian people thinks. Now let's see what some South Africans and some other people across the globe also thinks when they saw this. Okay, mostly the South African people, because you guys are mostly the ones that are happening in your country. I'm not sure your constitution actually agrees to most of the things that they are doing there, but hey, let's see what happens. All right, let's go. Okay, so to one of the most common comments that was shared under Maya's page, this one says, instead of complaining about what the Afrikaners are doing to preserve their culture, why not preserve our own? We are slowly losing our African culture and adopting the Western culture. These Afrikaners are preserving, take pride, and build their world while we are busy complaining. Okay, so this is what a person or South African believes. He is saying that why are we so concerned about what these Afrikaners do? They are doing everything possible to preserve their culture and doing everything to build their culture too. But we in Africa here adopting more Western things. We are losing our culture, our accents. A lot of people are actually now seeing that a flex to understand or speak English or French rather than your native language. That is for sure. I don't know about your country, but it's happening much in my country, Ghana. It's happening much. People take pride in knowing English or take pride in being fluent in English than even fluent in their local or dialects. That is one issue there. Okay. Well, he has a point though, but that was the point that he shared. As I said, this is a more controversial issue, so I'm trying to be as simple as much as I can. Okay. Nobody should attack me on this one. Seriously. Well, this one also says, it will be more simple to protect their culture by going back to Holland. Okay, that's what he thought though. But this one also says, so does it mean that an Afrikaner can't marry a black person to live there? No racial marriage? Well, yeah. Based on some if you watch the full video, what Maya showed, you actually know that you have to be an Afrikaner. Not just this is one thing I understood about them throughout the video. He actually meant that it's not actually racist. That it's not something for all white people to actually enter the place. It's actually only Afrikaner descent. So it doesn't mean that you're a white person, you're going to all white funded place and then all black people are in the one side. No, it's actually for only Afrikaner descendants so that they don't lose their identity, their pride, and then their culture. That is what they were actually saying though. Well, that was what they actually explained themselves to. As I said, don't attack me for this one. Well, this one says, in summary, Orania wants to be given independence, a free state within South Africa. Well, okay. Well, this is what this one thinks. But at the comment section, you too can actually share your point of view there. Okay, hopefully based on these comments I've read, you can also share your point of view there. It's actually beautiful to see. Well, I'll actually bring my verdict on my point sooner or later. I'm trying on coming out one day to do a live with you guys, and then we meet face to face and then we discuss something interesting. How do you think? A non-edited video, just me and you guys, and then we discuss something happening in the African continent, and then we take pride in it. Okay, what do you guys think? Well, I'll share my point one day. I'll just leave you guys within this week. I'll just leave you guys the date, and then we will talk more about this issue concerning my visit to Orania and how you think and how I also think. Then we can actually learn, bisect, and understand some two things here. Okay, you can also share your point for now here until we meet this week somehow. I'll actually show you the dates that we meet live on YouTube. Then we discuss this friendly and beautifully. Okay, the name is Rashi. This is African Time. Thank you for your time.